Hey, what's up guys, Tava here, and welcome to my new room. I have a single this year, which is super nice. I'm still trying to figure out the lighting here, still looks a little bit rough. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about this super cool effect that I found a couple of months ago by watching the film Free Solo, and I integrated it into my intro for my videos, and it's this kind of grunge 3D effect that really adds a lot of depth to your video. So we're going to jump in the computer and I'll show you how to do it. So just to show some examples of what I'm going to be doing today, if you look at my intro that I have on a lot of my videos, you can see when I play it back, it kind of adds this effect where there's this grunge looks going forward and backward and in 3D space, and it adds a lot of depth to the shot that would otherwise be really boring. So that's what we're going to be duplicating today, and it works really well in a lot of different situations, like a title sequence, which is exactly what Free Solo did, which I can show you a clip of right now. So as you can see here, there's kind of 3 different layers that are moving around. You have the background, you have this grunge effect, and then you have the titles themselves, and they're all moving at different speeds. In these examples, it's a little hard to see, but this is probably the best one I have here. You can see that there's a background image, then you have the titles of the regular people, and then you have this little grunge in the background, which aren't very obvious, but they add a little bit of depth, moving really subtly. And you can see all 3 of these layers move in the same direction, but at different speeds, so it adds a lot of depth. Like this one coming down looks really, really cool, and this one going sideways. It adds a lot, and it's really easy to do inside of any editing program. So if we jump into Final Cut Pro, which is what I'm going to be using, I'm going to show you how to do this in just a few easy steps. So you can really do this effect with photos and videos, but I find that photos tend to work better because there's less motion in them. But if you have a video clip that's relatively stable, that will work pretty well as well. So I'm just going to use this photo right here of these mountains. It looks super cool. And so the first thing I need to do here is figure out the direction I want the shot to move. So I want a little bit of transforming and cropping going on here. So for this one, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and go from left to right just to make it easy. And you don't want to do a lot, you want it to be really subtle. And you have to keep in mind that if the photo is the background layer, you want it to move the least, and then the middle to move a little more, and then the top to move the most, so you have that depth. So if we come over here and set a keyframe for our transform and then go to the end of the clip, we're just going to drag our background picture over a little bit. So if we click done, you can see if you play it back, there's some very subtle motion going on here, which is just what you want. You don't want a lot with that. So the next thing we need is the actual grunge look. So if you just look up grunge texture or grunge on black or something and go to Google Images, you usually should be able to find some pretty good results, and these are going to work great for us. So you can just click through them and see ones that you think might work the best. So for this example, I think this one might work really well, so I'm just going to click save and bring it into my composition. So from downloads, I'm just going to drag the grunge on top of my clip, and of course now it looks very awful, but we're going to do some things to tweak it to make it look better and fit into the scene more realistically. So the first thing I need to do is obviously crop this up so it fits into the entire shot, but now as you can see, you can't see the background whatsoever. It's just white and black, covers the entire thing. So the next thing we have to do is invert the image because we want the grunge to look white, not black. You could find a different image, but it's super easy to do this as well, so I'm just going to show you how to do it real quick. So basically I'm going to go into my color effects and go in the exposure. I'm going to bring the shadows to the very top and bring the highlights to the very bottom, and you can see immediately it inverts that image. So now it's the white grunge that we want. So now all we have to do is get rid of the black behind it so we can see the picture that's hidden underneath. So if you go into the compositing areas and under blend mode, you can change it from normal to screen. And as you can see now, the only thing showing is the white overlays or the grunge effect. So this is what we want. But if we play it back, you can see that it doesn't move, doesn't look great, kind of just stationary on there. And of course you're going to want to adjust this so it's not really bright and apparent over the top, so lowering the opacity can make it fit better into the scene. So now that we have the grunge in place, you can play it back, but see that it doesn't look very good because it's not moving at all in the direction that it's supposed to. So what I'm going to do now is keyframe the grunge layer. So I'm going to go to the beginning, go up to the transform and add a keyframe. So what I'm going to do is add a point and then move to the very end of the clip and add another keyframe, but I'm going to make sure to move it in the same direction as the photo layer below it, but just move it a little bit more so it's adding depth. So what we're going to do is just drag it over to the left here a little bit. So right now when I play this back, you can see that both layers are moving at pretty much the same speed, so I'm going to need to speed up the grunge layer underneath. So I'm going to go to the beginning actually and move it back in the opposite direction. So now as you can see, there's very subtle movement between these layers, but there is an added depth between the two. So it looks like the grunge is in front of the background photo, which is exactly what you want. Now the only step left in this process is to add some text over the top of it and move it in the same direction, but even more than the other two. So we have a third layer of depth completing the entire shot. So what we're gonna do is just add in some text. Let's just say this is a movie. I can say directed by myself. All right, so let's just say we're good with this. That's fine with the text. That's how we want everything. So now what we're gonna do is keyframe the final layer on top in the same direction. So we're gonna start over here, set a keyframe, and then go to the end and move it over more than the other two layers. So based on how far you want the text to seem away from the rest of the shot, you can move it even more, but the parallax effect should be in place if it just moves a little bit. So now as you can see when I play this back, there's 3 independent layers all moving in the same direction but at different speeds, which adds a lot of depth and looks really cool in a lot of different circumstances. Of course, you can always change the look that the grunge has and add different layers going in different directions, which also looks really cool, but this is just a really easy way to add some depth into your title shots and make them more intriguing and interesting. So anyway, that's it for today. If you like this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.